engagement is such a pain in the ass. And I know this because I've been trying to get engagement for years and had varying levels of success in varying parts of my career, as many of you have as well. The good news is that once you've actually figured out the algorithm and how to get people to engage with you, then it becomes fairly straightforward to get that engagement moving forward. So even if you've struggled from the very beginning until now, it is still 100% possible to turn that ship around, I can tell you, because for the longest time, I could not figure out how to get people to talk to me until I did. And then when I did, it just never stopped, right? So that's what we're going to do for you right now, is show you the technique to get people talking, all right? So first, let's start with this. Let's talk about what engagement is, because I think a lot of us, we chase engagement like crazy, but we don't really think about what engagement actually is, right? So think about when we were talking about earlier, when you go to a dinner party or a corporate event and you meet someone new, right? When you're trying to get to know that person, right, what do? You usually will ask questions until you find something that the two of you can talk about, and then you'll talk about that one thing. So I go to a corporate event with my husband every year, except for last year, and I always end up meeting. It's at the Foxborough Gillette Stadium. It's at Gillette Stadium, and so whenever I'm there, it makes sense for me to talk about the Patriots or football or something like that, right? And sometimes I talk to somebody and they're not into football. I'm like, right. But sometimes I'll keep asking questions until I find something that we have in common, right? So now you might meet someone that you connect with absolutely hardcore, right? So you start talking and you find out that you guys both absolutely love Duran Duran like crazy and have seen them 10 times. Well, then you're going to spend like the whole night talking to this person. They're your besties. Sometimes you might meet somebody and you have a little bit of a conversation and then you kind of do your conversation thing and they're like, all right, let's move on somewhere else. And then you basically work your way around the room. So, but the engagement part happens when I'm talking to you and I say something that you connect with and you're like, and then you'll say something back to me about that thing. That's really all engagement is. I like what it is that you said. I'm going to say something back related to that thing. Very simple. But when you're writing, there is a way that you want to sort of share that information. Now, what happens when people are translating from what I say in person to what I write is that very often one of the literary habits that we get into is we make lists instead of actually telling a story, okay? So I'm going to show you a post that is written in a list format, okay? So this is what a list format post looks like. This weekend, I was going to go to the zoo. It was raining, so I decided that maybe I should stay home instead. Alex and I decided as long as we were reined in, we should watch a movie. So we looked online and found Captain America. I didn't think I'd like it, but I really did. Now, this post in and of itself, when you first look at it, it looks perfectly normal, innocuous, no problem. But what it actually is just a list of things I did today. You could actually make this into a grocery store list, right? It could be this weekend I was going to the zoo, item 1. It was raining, so I decided that maybe I should stay home. Number 2, Alex, each sentence is its own bullet point on a list. You don't want a story to be able to be easily put into a list simply by hitting enter and making it into a list, right? You definitely don't want to have that happen. So what you want to do instead is tell a story. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a different post, the same post, rewritten in a story format. Okay, it was a cold and rainy Saturday, so Alex and I decided to stay in and snuggle on the couch and watch Captain America. I've always loved rain because it makes me feel like I have an excuse to goof off and just be a kid. I don't have to adult or run errands if I don't want to. And what's more kid-like than watching a superhero with your number one? What do you like to do when it's cold and wet out? Now, this post is only a little bit longer than the one before. I actually counted the words. It's about 27 words longer than the post from before. But this one actually tells a story. Though you could separate each of the sentences, when you separate them, they're not going to be separated like a laundry list, right? They're going to be separated as lists that tell you something about my experience, right? That is a really key thing about sharing your experience, is what changes a list into a story, okay? Sharing your experience, sharing your feelings, okay? The first post was a list of activities. The second post shares my experience. In the second post, I used words to generate physiological responses in your body, right? Like cold and rainy day, okay? That evokes a physical response in your body. We decided to stay in and snuggle. The word snuggle generates a chemical response in your body, a physical response. It makes me feel like I have an excuse to goof off and be a kid. That also generates a physical response because it generates memories of when you would get to goof off and be a kid, right? So each of those things generates responses within you that make you feel interested and reading more and wanting to know more, right? So now the question is, how do you take a list and turn it into a story, right? So we're going to go over that right now. Okay. The first step, okay, the very first step is to figure out what you are talking about. Okay. So first you're going to select a one-word topic. Remember that from stage one? You're going to select a one-word topic. Okay. The topic that you pick anchors the user and lets them know what to focus on. There is a handout and there's a worksheet in this section that will walk you through this process. So feel free to download it and play along as we're going if you'd like. So it lets them know what to focus on because you know what you're focusing on, right? You're focusing on your topics. So step one is what I would recommend is going to your Facebook newsfeed, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to scroll down your newsfeed, the place when you go to facebook.com, and I want you to just make a list of the topics of posts that you see. So when I go down my newsfeed, I'll see things like dog grooming, creating art, mugs, neck pillows, nervous breakdowns, dogs, because dogs are worth saying twice, which movie to watch, branding, varsity blues. That was just really weird that it popped up, but it did, right? Those are the things that people are talking about on my newsfeed. So what this is going to help you to do by doing this exercise is learning how to identify what the topic of each individual post is. So you can start to say, that's what they're talking about. Okay, they're talking about dogs, talking about cats, they're talking about Marvel, they're talking about Facebook algorithms. What are they talking about? Okay. So now when we go back to this post, right, let's look at this original list post again. It's up on the screen now for you to see. Okay. The first thing is what is the problem with this? First is I have too many topics. Okay, there's like a ton of topics in here. What is the story that I'm actually trying to tell in this post? Am I talking about Captain America? Am I talking about going to the zoo? Is the topic changing what you're doing that evening? Is the topic rainy days at home? I don't know what the topic is because I'm talking about all these things and I'm giving them all equal importance. So the audience doesn't know which one is the important one. Okay. How can I simplify so that I am talking about the thing that I want to focus on, right? The story that I really want to tell you. I don't care about telling you the story about the zoo. I don't care about telling you the story about changing what I was doing in the evening. I want to tell a different story, right? It's important to keep in mind that you choose what you talk about. So you decide. I could easily talk about going to the zoo. I could easily talk about changing what I'm doing in the evening or rainy days at home, but that wasn't the topic that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about something else. I wanted to talk about Captain America, right? So first I have to decide what it is that I want to talk about. Now, this is the easiest to discover after you've written the post. So you write your post once, and you reread it out loud. It is the most easy to discover when you've made a mistake by focusing on too many topics. When you read it out loud to yourself, you're, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm talking about here. That is the most helpful way to identify whether or not you need to make a change. I read out every single post that I make, I read out loud. There is not a single post that I've ever made in my life that I have not read out loud first, just to see how it sounds. So now that we've figured out the topic, okay, so you have a list of topics that I provided to you that gives you, I think it's about 100 topics. It's a lot of topics for you to choose from, and you can just pick one and say, okay, I'm talking about nostalgia. I'm talking about Duran Duran. I'm talking about Jason Momoa. Whatever it is, you're going to pick the topic that you're going to talk about, okay? That's step one. Step two is how do you want them to feel, okay? How do you want them to feel when they read this post, okay? When you read your post through, first you ask yourself, would I engage with this post? Like, is this capturing my attention? If it's not, then you know right off the bat that this post is not going to work, okay? People do not engage with posts that don't make them feel something. If they don't feel, they don't engage. Bottom line, right? So your goal is to make them feel something, okay? So the question you got to ask yourself is, how are you going to make your audience feel, right? Do you want them to feel excited? Do you want them to feel happy? Do you want them to feel engaged? What is it you want them to feel with this particular post? It's not your whole page in general, just that one post. So the post that I made about Captain America, I could have wanted you to feel cozy. I could have wanted you to feel snuggly. I could have wanted you to feel like, you know, that feeling you get on a rainy day when you're inside and it's cold out. I wanted you to get that feeling, right? That's what I wanted for you. So, because I think that's a great feeling to have. And so I wanted to describe that scene so that you would have that same feeling that I did. Okay. In order to get there, right? In order to get to the feeling part, you need to use emotion words, okay? So emotion comes from the words that you choose to describe your experience, not the steps that you took. So the fact that I watched Captain America is not why you're going to feel something. You're going to feel something because I describe how I watched Captain America. I watched Captain America on my couch snuggling with my husband while it was raining outside. That's where the emotion and the feeling comes from. It doesn't come from the fact that I'm just watching Captain America, unless you happen to be obsessed with Captain America, okay? When you tell a story in that way, right, where you're sharing that the I'm on the couch with Alex, right, snuggling in while it's raining outside and it's warm and dry in here. Those stories activate sense receptors in your audience's brain. Like legit, it is activating stuff in your brain, okay? We tell stories so that we can influence our readers' thoughts. That's exactly why you tell stories. When you make your videos, you do posts, we're trying to influence your readers' thoughts. We want them to like us. We want them to trust us. We want them to shop from us, and we want them to come back. Those are the 4 things that we want, right? Now, when I say it like that, what I really just said was I'm trying to manipulate you into buying something by using emotion words and telling a story. That is exactly what I said, and that is exactly what's happening. If that feels shady to you, there are 2 videos that I've linked to in this session, right? And they are both videos that are designed to make you feel something so that you will buy from the company. And then you'll start to notice that the ads that are out there are all designed to make you feel something. They're designed to make you laugh. They're designed to make you cry. They're designed to make you feel connected. Whatever it is, that's what everybody is doing. That's what marketing is. Marketing is influencing your audience's behavior by manipulating their emotions, by using the right words, the right pictures, the right images, the right videos. Now, like I said, that can sound like it's very shady, but it's only shady if you're doing something bad, right? So if you're trying to get somebody to buy something that isn't helpful for them, then yeah, it's shady and it's awful. But if you really believe in your product, like I believe in what I do, like I believe in it really, really strongly. So, and I know it's going to change your life, and I will do whatever it takes to help change your life, right? Because it's that important to me. For you and your audience, you have to believe in the results that your product gets enough to where you do not feel like you are doing something bad, right? If you were trying to sell something to someone that you don't believe in, then you are going to feel bad. So if you continue to feel bad about this particular experience, then what I would recommend is really rethinking why you sell the product you sell, just as an FYI, okay? So there are 2 commercials. One of them is a Dove commercial that makes me cry like every freaking time. And then the other one is that Esurance commercial where that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. It's amazing. I love it, right? And I laugh every single time. So those are really great examples of very overt ways of people who are manipulating your emotions to get you to like them so that you'll buy from them. That's all it is, okay? So now that we've identified the topic and the emotion, both of which, by the way, there are handouts with lists of topics and lists of emotion words. The next is to write the post once. Okay, so you just write the post and it's word vomiting. You just write it out. Be like, here we go, I'm writing the post. And then read it out loud. And when you read it out loud, what you're looking for is how does it flow, right? What is the flow like? Are you talking about a single topic or are you talking about 800 different things? Like, can you follow what it is that you're trying to talk about? And have you implemented emotion words, right? Are you using any emotion words? Those are the first things that you're looking at for the post that you write. Now, here's an example, right? So the non-descriptive post would be, we had so much fun today, #LoveMyLife. That's a post that would tell Facebook nothing about who to show your content to. There's no keywords in there. And it's just a quick throwaway post. This would be a post that if you made it, I would recommend that you not care what kind of engagement you got, because I wouldn't expect to be high engagement. The long descriptive post is, this weekend we drove up to the White Mountains in New Hampshire. The air was cold and dry, like right before a snow, and all the leaves were long gone. We stayed in my uncle's cabin right near the lake, which is amazing for fishing in the summers, but it's small enough to be frozen in the winter. So Alex and I went skating. This picture was taken right after I face planted. I look really proud of myself because I managed to land in a freezing cold pile of snow instead of breaking my arm on the ice. It's all about perspective, people. Okay, so that's my long descriptive post with all of my emotion words in there. Okay. Now, let's say you're somebody who's like, I don't want to write that long of a post. I'm not interested in writing that long of a post. I'm going to write a shorter post. So this is a shorter descriptive post. So when ice skating in Boston for the annual Winter on the Park series, it was freezing out. Winter sports, right? That's a very quick post, but it still has keywords in there. And I talk about how it was freezing. Okay. Freezing is an emotion. It's a feeling. I feel cold, right? They're like, oh my God, she's freezing. You have something to latch onto to talk to me about. Okay. So these are 3 different types of posts. The first one, the non-descriptive one, I would say don't expect any engagement. The second one, you would expect a lot higher engagement. And then the third one would be like iffy engagement. Not like it really depends on your audience in terms of how that would work. Okay. So now we've done the 3 parts. We've topic, emotion, we've written out the post. The last step is, and this is the most important step, tell them what to do next. Okay. Tell them what to do next. Imagine this. I want you to imagine. Frodo Baggins has the ring, the one ring in Lord of the Rings, okay? Yay, he has the ring. And he shows it to Gandalf. And Gandalf is like, oh, it's a ring. Oh my goodness. It's been called many things, right? And then that's it. He just stops there. Doesn't give him any instruction. He just says, "Ah, it's a ring." Would Frodo have ever gone on the Lord of the Rings journey? No, he probably would have ended up dead, right? He wouldn't have gone on a journey if Gandalf hadn't sent him. You have to tell people what to do or they won't do it. Okay, they'll just scroll on by. And this holds true for everyone, including people who are professionals in the industry. I am a professional in the industry and I am not alone in this. A lot of the professionals that I work with, the experts, the coaches, whatever, we all do this. If you don't tell us what to do on a post and we're scrolling by, we'll read the post and be like, "Oh, that's nice," and like it and move on, or just do nothing and move on, because our bodies work off of momentum. So if our momentum is scrolling, not engaging, then we're just not going to scroll. We're just going to keep scrolling. The second someone says do something, we're also programmed to stop and do the thing. So if you say, "Here, it's freezing. Do you like ice skating?" Right? Now somebody has something to answer. They'll stop and answer the question. Have you ever been ice skating? Questions like that. Have you ever seen Captain America? Right? Those kinds of questions, they give people something to do and it gives them what to do next. Most of the time when I look at posts that do not have any engagement, it's because nobody's asked for engagement. It literally just ends with a declarative statement that says, "Oh my God, I love my life. Yay!" Why would anybody respond to that? You're just saying you love your life. It's a declarative statement. They're like, "Great, I'm glad you love your life. Have a nice life," right? But if you have a picture of yourself doing whatever the thing is, you say, "I love my life. This is what happened." And then you say, "Tell me about your experience." Well, now they have a reason to share their experience with you, right? People will not share with you unless you share with them first. That is really important. Do not post pictures of yourself doing something, saying #LoveMyLife, and then tell them to share their own stuff. They're not going to share their own stuff because you haven't given them anything of yourself. So if you are going to share a picture and ask for something in return, share a story with it first, or you will not get something in return. And that is why the long descriptive posts have a tendency to do better, is because you usually will tell a story and then ask for something in return. And so now you get the full gamut. But other posts, you don't do that way. And so you see less results on those. And it can be very confusing. Like, I don't understand why nobody's engaging on this post. Oftentimes it's because you're missing a call to action. Okay. So you have to have a call to action. If you don't tell them to do something, they won't do it. Okay. One request per post. Do not have a post that says, "Let me, tell me about your ice skating story and where should I buy my ice skates and do you like ice skating and do your kids, like that's too many." Just one question. One question per post. One call to action per post. Make it very, very specific. If you're going to say, "What do you think?" make sure you give a very strong opinion first so they know exactly what it is that you're asking them to give their opinion about. Don't randomly say #LoveMyLife. Do you love yours? That's very generic. I have no idea what to do with that, and I'm not going to respond to that. Okay. The question needs to be a specific, natural progression of the topic at hand. Okay. All right. So now you've written this post. All right. Once your post is written, next up, share it on social media. Okay. But before you do that, here's what I want to recommend. When you are first starting to write posts and when you are first starting to use this technique, it can be very challenging because you are learning how to write in a very different way. We all learned how to write. So I went to school to college for anthropology. So I learned how to write 5,000 word essays. And why would you put anything in 2 words when you can put it in 5 million? And I learned how to add a lot of extra words, just really make things wordy. That is not marketing language, not at all. It's not good marketing language. It's not going to convert people. It's not going to get people's attention. It's poor writing for marketing. But when I first started, that's how I was writing because that's how I had been trained. However you have been trained in your life, whatever school you went to, whatever career you have, whatever it is, you have developed your own writing style that is highly unlikely to be compatible with marketing because very few are. And so you need to learn a new way of writing. So it is going to be challenging. So what we have in the squad for you is peer review. So after you write a post, post it in the squad and say, "This is what I'm writing. This is the graphic. What do you think? What are your thoughts?" And there's a section in the squad that will show you how to do a peer review, both as somebody who is submitting for a peer review and somebody who is giving one, so that you can make sure that you're giving and getting effective feedback. But that's what I would recommend, is sharing that post on the wall so that you can get feedback from the people in this group before you go and post it on your business page or your personal profile or your group. Because the one very important thing to keep in mind is that it's 99%, with 99% surety, I can tell you, the audience in the squad is your target market, which means if they don't get it, your target market won't get it. And you definitely want to make sure that you workshop all of these issues out in the squad in a safe space, rather than just throwing that post up on your business page and having your audience not see it and then sort of like not getting results. and not being able to do anything about it at that point, right? Do it in the squad first, let us peer review it, and then post it on your page so we can help you as you're progressing through the process. So your homework now is to take a look, download the handout in this section, and start working on creating your posts using this strategy and asking for peer review on the squad. You will see your post changing in absolutely no time, and your engagement is going to go up, up, up.